I'm here so I won't get fined.
Touchdown! Shabba-lubba hub!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James.
You leveled up. Way to go, Cupcake.
I got the gift of gab and the gift of jab, and I'll put that lazy eye right back to work.
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton?
Awful.
Put me anywhere in the world and it's going off, because I am the Gypsy King. I am Tyson Fury. Remember the name.
I do exactly what I want to do. You say I'm insane, I say thank you very much.
And now, Any Given Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Ward and Ethan Simpson.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Any Given Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Brendan Ward. I got my main man,
Ethan Simpson, right here.
Over here with me. Let's go ahead and go on and get into it. We're going to get into the Emmanuel Clase suspension. I might give a little take on The Last Dance. I'm sure you could give a little things about that. We'll touch on what OBJ just had to say about himself on YouTube yesterday, and who is your favorite Cleveland athlete of all time. So go ahead, Ethan. What happened with Emmanuel Clase?
He tested positive for Boldenone, which is a performance-enhancing drug, which is a anabolic steroid that produces free testosterone in your body.
So he was taking a performance-enhancing drug. If you don't know, Emmanuel Clase got injured very early in spring training and was looking to be out at the start of the season were that to happen. So sounds to me like he was kind of just maybe taking something that would help him get back from injury almost.
Yeah, and it says, like I said, it brings testosterone back into the body, which testosterone is a natural male hormone that comes through all of our bodies. Brendan, I know you remember high school. We had a lot of testosterone going on. Testosterone, sorry. But yeah, he used that to re-heal from his injury. And with the whole 90s and the Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa era, now anything like that is completely banned. And he has an 80-game suspension, which you're not really seeing that with any players from the Astros, are you?
Well, here's the thing. Like, any of the players didn't get a suspension, so I can't really do anything about that. You know what I'm saying? That was already handed down. I can't do anything about the deal they made about pleading to it, copping to it, and admitting to it. The thing that frustrates me is that this 80-game suspension doesn't start until we resume a season. And like any other time, that would make sense, right? Any other time, if there's not games being played, how on earth can they serve a suspension? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they should have tested them way before they did it all. And if they were going to start a suspension, start it when the season was supposed to start at all. And I don't know if you remember this, Brendan, but Abraham Almonte got busted for taking PEDs in 2016 at the beginning of the season, but he was not allowed to play in the postseason or the World Series. But Kyle Schwarber broke his femur, I believe, and he played 1.5 games and was allowed to play in the World Series.
Yeah, I remember that. And it was kind of like, I actually was just kind of learning who Abraham Almonte was towards the end of the season. And when I didn't know any of that. And then when they announced that or whatever, it made zero sense to me. The point I'm kind of making here is, so like, I'm not saying I disagree with the suspension. Obviously, PEDs are an offense that you should be suspended for. The problem is the way things are going right now in the world, and the fact that we're in this unprecedented time where we're going to end up with probably an 80-game season in the first place.
Yeah, and he can't even play. And we traded Corey Kluber for him. So now we're missing a 2-time Cy Young winner who is a little bit out of his prime, but he could still probably pitch. I know he broke his wrist last year due to a ball bouncing off it, but still, what would you rather have? A pitcher a little bit out of his prime or a guy on 80-game suspension when it's an 80-game season?
Exactly. And so, like, obviously reports are positive that baseball is going to come back at some point. Things I read yesterday, July 1st is what they're looking at, they think, with a mid-June spring training. But my thing is so he's going to have to serve that 80-game suspension whenever we come back. So, but what if there weren't a season is really where I come into it, because you look at all the things you mentioned about the Astros and how all of those managers that got those 1-year suspensions, even if there weren't a season this year, those suspensions still count.
Yeah, it was like we talked recently about Lindor's contract, and same with Mookie Betts. So if there's no season, those contracts, they still expire at the end of the season. So should the suspensions end at the end of the season?
I truthfully think that the suspension should probably end where 80 games would have ended. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, say they started in March. When we were midway through the season in, like, say, mid-June, July at game 80, 81, that's when Clase's suspension should end. I'm not saying that he shouldn't miss time or anything like that. I'm just saying that, without a doubt, I truthfully think that it is pretty unfair to say that one suspension is going to be served or one contract year is going to be spent, even if there's not baseball this year, but to say that this and we're talking about it because it's the first suspension post-pandemic that we've seen. But with all these other people still getting this accredited year, whether there's baseball or not in 2020, to me, it's kind of bullshit that this kid, if there's not baseball this year, is still going to have to serve 80 games in 2021.
Yeah, and that's, like you said, that's total bullshit. The kid's 22. As you know, you're 24. I'm 23. You know, just trying to be a guy who's trying to make it in the industry. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
But yeah, he was just the doctors probably prescribed it to him, and he was using it to heal up faster. It's not like he was using it to pitch faster or to hit farther, like I said, McGuire, Sosa, Barry Bonds. It wasn't anything like that. He was just trying to heal himself faster so he could come back and try and get the Indians back to the World Series.
Exactly. Just a young kid trying to make it in one of the hardest leagues there is to make it in. Some kids go to minor leagues. Some kids get drafted in the first round and don't even ever see the majors in baseball. It's 100% more common that a kid in baseball doesn't see a major league roster than it is anywhere else in any other major sports league.
Yeah, I've actually when I got my boxer fracture, the doctor that helped me out, he was one of those guys that got drafted out of high school to or out of college to the minors, and he didn't see a major league field at all. So I went back to sports medicine.
Yeah, I actually studied sports medicine in high school. That's kind of funny.
See, I was we had a sports medicine class at Kent, but I was more into business accounting management.
Well, we called it sports health and fitness tech, and I could either take that or I could take chemistry and anatomy.
Oh yeah, then definitely.
So I took sports health and fitness tech. I could wrap ankles and wrists and arms and turf toes, and I could do it. I could do anything an athletic trainer could do.
So, speaking of athletic training, what is your Last Dance recap?
Okay, so now that we're a little over halfway in, I kind of wanted to talk about it, and I've been trying to talk about it for a while, but I was giving you a chance to basically get it in if you wanted to get it in. So maybe I didn't spoil anything for you, but a lot of the stuff I'm gonna say, my real take is kind of the LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate, and everybody all over Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everybody just this proves that Jordan is the GOAT without a doubt. This is what everyone's saying. That's what any tweet I've ever seen. I mean, you can look deep and find the LeBron love, but as you noticed, kind of it's all been Jordan is the GOAT. The Last Dance for me has had the exact opposite effect. I'm going to sit here and tell you that without a doubt, after 6 episodes of The Last Dance, I think LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time.
So I want to piggyback off you with LeBron James. I don't know how many people listening were just a kid from Akron or grew up in Northeast Ohio, but in 2003 when LeBron James got drafted, it was a kid that grew up in the same area I did. Maybe not the same circumstances, but in the same area. And he won the first ever finals for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he also won the first ever MVP for the Cavaliers. And growing up, LeBron was kind of an inspiration. I know I told that story with the interview we have coming up about the Kent State Akron game, but besides that, it was great. It was great growing up watching LeBron James. I don't know about you, but I was so devastated by the decision. I burned my LeBron James jersey the next day. But when he came back and he made the promise he made when he was still at St. Vincent St. Mary's to bring a championship to Cleveland, and he finally did that in 16, and then he left again to go to the Lakers. There was no bad blood because it wasn't a 2-hour special on ESPN.
And he had already did what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and he brought the first ever championship I've ever seen as a Cleveland fan growing up in Northeast Ohio.
How can I be mad at the guy that made me cry in the corner at my dad's house?
Yeah, I told you the story where I was. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, just to kind of go further into what I was saying. So, like you said, you were watching the parts where they were like, okay, so, like, MJ's this godlike figure. What he did for Chicago back in the late 80s and throughout all the 90s. All this stuff. Yeah, well, LeBron did that 2000 to 2015 with a 4-year hiccup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely him going to Miami was a rough spot in his career, but I guess I understand it now that I'm older, because when the decision happened, I was going into my freshman year of high school. So as a 14-year-old kid or 13, whatever I was like, dude, screw this guy. Yeah. He abandoned the city, but I understand what he did, and he came back in 14. So
kind of put it in his perspective, LeBron couldn't go no further with that Cavs team, and which is why I wanted to talk even a little bit more about some of the arguments that these people make for Jordan over LeBron. First of all, LeBron pretty much leads Jordan in every freaking statistical category ever at this point, and he's still going. I would argue 5, maybe 6 more years left in his career, and yes, he's played more games, stuff like that, but that's on Jordan for choosing baseball or choosing to walk away and stuff like that. That's on Jordan. Also, here's the thing. Okay, so the 6 rings, screw that narrative, because Jordan couldn't win shit without somebody, right?
Yeah.
Teams laughed at Jordan when they saw him in the playoffs. They were like, okay, you're going to score 60, but the rest of your team is going to score 20, and we're going to beat your ass by 30 points.
Yeah, and speaking of Jordan winning all those rings, Who did LeBron have in 18? Kyle Korver, Tristan Thompson, and JR?
Yeah, Kevin Love too, but
Kevin Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love's his best player, but that's my thing. Like, all that argument is LeBron needed to team up, LeBron needed to do this, LeBron needed a superstar, LeBron needed help. Every freaking thing I've watched, it was all about what Jordan wanted. Jordan didn't want Tony Kukoc to come over to the Bulls because he felt threatened by him.
Yeah.
He felt like that was the Bulls' new guy. So he went and tried to embarrass him in the Olympics. And yeah, he did, because he had his lackey, future Hall of Famer Scottie Pippen, who was dumb enough to take $2 million a year to help him out so they can kind of keep that Bulls gravy train rolling. Michael Jordan is a product of freaking a gravy train that kept going. I'm not going to sit here and say that he wasn't great, but for you to sit here and tell me that he's better than what LeBron James was based on the fact that he has 3 more rings, bullshit.
Oh, totally. And LeBron should have 4 rings coming up in a month. But as you know, coronavirus, the season is suspended. But it's unbelievable. LeBron James, I think, was made in a laboratory by a mad scientist. Have you seen that guy?
Just somehow.
His workout videos, what he does.
Just somehow just continues to get leaner, more athletic. 17 years in, and he still moves like that young 18-year-old kid in 2003. It's incredible to see. Like you said, like he was built in a lab as like a prototype, and was like, okay, just 22 years of basketball of the greatest stuff you have ever seen. And there's still going to be people that say he's not the best.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I understand people's whole concept. He left Cleveland twice, but also Michael Jordan left twice. He went to play baseball, and then he went to the Wizards.
He quit for a whole nother sport, and they haven't got to that in The Last Dance. So that's So that's why I hadn't said anything about baseball, but also the Wizards, because he wanted more control over the team's roster. And when he had a GM that was like, "No, screw you, I'm gonna run the team," and now now that the guy's dead, they do a 10-part documentary slandering the guy.
Yeah, it's like I said, I haven't checked out all of them. I saw episode 5, so I'm not as educated as you are on it. But here's a little fun fact: do you know who Michael Jordan's baseball manager was out in Birmingham?
I do not know.
Terry Francona.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's a little bringing it back, whole circle, back to Cleveland. Here's the last thing before we get into our interview with the Kent State's Isaiah McKoy, star wide receiver.
Very good interview, my man. Very good. Excited to get it to him.
I enjoyed it so much. I can't wait till this gets released, because I think the fans will enjoy it. But
as he put it, I think we made a movie.
Yeah. Hey.
I think
the prayer emoji.
Yeah, prayer emoji. I think we made a movie.
So, best Cleveland athlete. Here's the rule: no LeBron. Since we already talked about LeBron for so long.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's so 90% of anybody that lived around here, you ask them favorite Cleveland athlete of all time, LeBron James, without question. The thing I wanted to do when we brought this up is, who else? Cleveland's one of the richest sports towns in the world that nobody even talks about. So who else?
Do you want me to start talking about it, or do you want to go? Do you want to go before I go into a long whole story?
I know you're more Cleveland based than I am, so I'll go ahead and go first because I could have less to talk about this. But just somebody that stuck with me, and it's kind of crazy that I'm going to choose this guy just because of the way I like sports. It's football, baseball, basketball. But the fact that I'm going to pick this guy is kind of going to throw you off. Mark Price, man.
Man, I wish I had my Mark Price poster up I got from 96, I believe, when he was the free throw percentage leader.
Mark Price is still up there, and he might even be number one in free throw percentage still. I think they were talking about Kyle Korver maybe surpassing him at some point, and he may have done that, so don't fact check me 100% on that. But just growing up before LeBron, to me, like, obviously there were others, but the person I heard about the most was Mark Price. Limitless range, Steph Curry before Steph Curry was Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? Ray Allen before Ray Allen was Ray Allen. Mark Price originated the limitless range 3-point shooter.
Yeah, no doubt. Mark Price was fantastic. I have watched so many highlight videos of Mark Price. As you know, I put him in on the web intro for school.
Yeah.
So here's I'm going to do a few best athletes from Cleveland.
It's with as deeply rooted as you are, I'm going to allow it because it is kind of hard to just pick one. If you asked me to pick my favorite Dallas Cowboys of all time, I'd probably yell at you and tell you I can't. So yeah. I get it.
So number one is Jim Thome.
Okay.
I wore the high socks for Jim Thome when I played baseball. I had to swing like Jim Thome. I even have a card from when I was 5 or something back in that room. And my favorite player is Jim Thome. I was 3 feet tall, and my favorite player was Jim Thome. So Jim Thome for sure, number one. And then I would have to put Sandy Alomar Jr. at number 2. Just because I met Sandy back in the day. I was Sandy Alomar. He's 6'5" or 6'7", one of the two.
Big dude.
And I was just a little kid.
Yeah.
It's somewhere around the South, but and then I would probably have to say my third favorite Cleveland sports guy. It's a mix-up between two. It's Josh Cribbs or Brian Hoyer.
I would say even then I could give you that because I understand the Brian Hoyer love, the hometown kid, the stuff like that, and the Josh Cribbs, the Kent State love, the Cleveland Browns one of the greatest kick return specialists of all time. If you put Devin Hester in the Hall of Fame, I think you got to put Josh Cribbs in there right up with him. You know what I'm saying? So
Josh Cribbs never showed his ass when he got tackled.
Josh Cribbs barely ever got tackled.
If you watch that, he still has that. If you watch the old tape when he was with the Browns, he still has that quarterback mentality, to get out of those tackles. So.
Oh yeah, and you could tell, and Josh Cribbs was almost like I would describe it as an enigma. He didn't seem aesthetically very fast. When you watched him, he didn't seem like he was Tyreek Hill type speed.
Yeah.
But nobody could stop that dude. Nobody could catch him. Nobody could tackle him. He was big, fast, and obviously there's the Jacoby Joneses of the world who just kind of 0 to 100 real quick. Devin Hester was kind of the same way. Josh Cribbs, I feel like just was so good at the vision and the ball carrying from his quarterback days that is what made him succeed as a returner, sans some of the game-changing speed that everyone else had.
Yeah, and if you watch Cribbs films from back in the day, and you especially the one where the ball bounced on the 3-yard line and he picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown.
That was in the intro too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No, I made the intro. What am I talking about?
You were like, was it? And I was like, you made it, bro.
Yeah, sorry. You start talking about Kent State guys that went to the Browns. I start getting focused on that.
It goes hand in hand. But speaking of Kent State guys, let's go ahead and get into it now that we answered all the questions we need to for the week. We finally secured, well, I shouldn't say we because we wouldn't have been able to do it without you, Ethan. Star Kent State wide receiver Isaiah Mckoy for an interview. We were talking and we were like, okay, probably 20, 30 minutes. Then we get on the line with him and we just kept going, man. It was exciting. Like I said, I think we made a movie. We're really excited to give it to him after the break. So what do you think these guys are looking forward to as this is the last they'll hear from us prior to the interview?
I'm just saying with the Isaiah McKoy interview, I'm with you. I was excited. That's why I just kept going. I think I said I was born in Akron like LeBron about 1 billion times just because I didn't know what to say. But
you can definitely, like, we both were like, all right, this is cool. And we were kind of in the moment. And then you could just see at some point it was just like, all right, let's take off. And we were like, okay, so it was very good. So last season we had the first ever official guest on Any Given Podcast, and it ended up being you. And now you're a co-host, and we wouldn't have it any other way. This is the way it should have begun from the beginning. So without further ado, after the break, Isaiah Mckoy, star wide receiver of the Kent State Golden Flashes, will be the first ever interview in Any Given Podcast history.
Isaiah Mckoy, star wide receiver from the Kent State University. He's a Golden Flash through and through. I had the pleasure of being on the sideline recording him. I got some great touchdown footage, by the way. So I want to ask you, I'm going to start this off by asking you. I was supposed to go down to the Frisco, but unfortunately the flights were too expensive. So I did not. I had to watch you guys on ESPN 2. But that 78-yard touchdown to start it off, how was that? How was the experience for that?
I mean, the experience for the Frisco Bowl, it was a great opportunity for the Frisco people of Frisco, Texas, to let us play down there. It's such a great city that they have down there. You know, they're building new houses and the whole environment that's very nice. You know, scoring that first touchdown for my team, it was really like something that I've been holding in for the whole year, just waiting for the biggest game. Because I feel like in the biggest games and the biggest moments, I think that, you know, that's when I really shine the most. And just scoring that first touchdown and hearing the fans that came all the way from Ohio, my teammates, other people's parents and stuff coming from all across the country, just coming to watch us play, you know, that really set it off. And then once I scored, I just felt like, you know, we're here, you know, because even before the day before, it was kind of hectic a little bit with the little speeches that the coaches were giving. You know, our coach Sean Lewis, he gave his speech, and then their coach, he kind of came off as like, you know, we wasn't gonna win or we wasn't gonna be any competition. So that really took me into heat into that the end of that night, into the morning, into the whole game, until I had scored that first touchdown.
That was another thing I was going to ask was you guys were the underdogs going into that.
Vegas had us underdogs by like 14 points or 16 points.
Yeah. Well, if I was a betting man, I would put all my money on Kent State. Just ask Brendan. I was supposed to be down there. I had press passes on the sideline all season. So I saw the Ball State game. I saw the Kennesaw State game. Kennesaw State. Games. I saw all those games, so I was right there with you guys. I actually grew up with Nick Spicer's older brother Corey. He was in my grade, so.
Oh, you're talking about Spice? Okay.
Yeah, so I know the Spicer family too. So.
Okay.
And I've grown up in Kent my whole life, so I know Kent State football, and this team you guys have now is completely different from any Kent State team I've seen.
Right.
And you guys have a great head coach. Sean Lewis, the flash fast offense is one of the most extraordinary offenses I've seen in football, in college football, even in professional football. The flash fast offense, the way that you guys play that, like you guys are pretty much playing no huddle every single snap,
right?
Which is awesome. It was a great experience for me as a broadcaster, being on the sidelines and documenting that, but also as a fan and growing up in Kent. I remember On the Hunt when they had the camo shirts that they were giving away. I think that was 07. But just to see that was completely awesome. I was almost like in awe watching you guys.
Right, yeah. A lot of people were I mean, when I first committed to Kent State, I felt the downhill trend that, Kent had, and even around in the town, like I felt it's Kent State, this and that. But I took that as a challenge because I knew what I was coming to. I knew what I was going to, and I knew the previous history of Kent State. And me being a game changer and stuff like that, even in high school, middle school, and stuff like that, since I started playing football, I always wanted to change things. So I tried. So as I committed, I knew that I had to get Kent, back on his feet and take them to, where nobody else thought we were going to win, like winning the bowl game right there. And then now it's like a snowball effect because now, we won the bowl game. We beat them. A lot of people didn't think we were going to beat them how we did. A lot of people didn't think we were going to bounce back how we did against them as we were scoring back and forth. So, it's getting downhill. Now that we won it, a lot of people are really opening their eyes to Kent State and opening their eyes as to, wow, this team can really, change the whole history of Kent State and the whole city of Kent, Ohio, because Kent really has some loyal fans. Throughout everything, the losing years and all this and that, and then next year, possibly whatever happens with this, pandemic that we got going on, whenever the season gets started rolling this year, it's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be a movie. It's going to be a movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've grown up in Kent. I know the history behind Kent football, the most losingest school in NCAA history. So I totally get it. This team, though, man, you and Crum, it's phenomenal to watch. It makes me happy to be a Flashes fan.
Yeah, man. Crum is, y'all know what Crum is. Crum is that dude, man. Crum is that dude, man. And it's crazy because even when I first came to Kent, and I met Crum, he wasn't the starting quarterback at the time.
Yeah.
And, when I came, Woody Bear was the quarterback at the time. He came from Auburn transfer, this and that. So, I knew Crum, but I didn't know Crum like that until we started playing football together. And then that's when I, during practice and all of that, what y'all been seeing right now, Crum has been doing that. And Crum has, personally for me, from being, his leading receiver, and, me and him, he has came from nothing. He has came from being diligent and humble and, putting his head down. No matter what depth chart, no matter what spot he was on the depth chart, he continued to do the same thing, that bring the same energy to everybody. And, that's why now he's a starting quarterback because he has been down there for so long. Even when he's up, he is still the same Crum. It's never, he doesn't act different towards people. He treats anybody, running back, receiver, tight end, lineman, anybody on the defense. He wants to help us and help anything.
And that's what you need from a leader.
Yes.
And trust me, you can ask Brendan. Brendan, how much do I gas up Dustin?
Well, I was actually getting ready to jump in and say that, like, I was relatively out of the loop talking about that kind of like the losingness, that culture that Kent had prior to the last 2 years, and Sean Lewis and you and Dustin Crum. And my man Ethan has just continuously just told me, like, you need to check these guys out. You need to check these guys out. And finally I was like, all right, I'm going to check them out. And then I watched Crum throw for 300 some yards, run for another 100. I watch you just go off. And actually, Ethan can attest to this, man. I texted him and I was like, who the is this Isaiah McKoy? Because like I didn't know Kent State football. And I was like, this dude's the real deal. Like one of the I don't want you to think we're just gassing you up because we got you on the show, but I think you're the real deal, man. I think you got everything it takes to succeed everywhere. You kind of already answered most of my questions, but like when the season does come back, what are specific goals for you yourself?
My specific goals is really, to be, one of the top receivers in the country because, as when I first came to Kent and, I always have been this electric receiver. I've always been that, but it took me a little time to get in the spotlight of things. So really the main goal is to be one of the Olympic Hall finalists for next year. Not to actually win it or whatever God wants me to do, but for me to be one of the Olympic Hall finalists, to be up there with the top receivers in the country. Because I honestly solely do believe that I can be. And I still think I am, whether I don't go or not. I still think I'm one of the best receivers in the country. But that's really one of my main goals. The other goal is to have probably 12, 13 touchdowns next year, over 1,200 yards. And then another goal is just to bring back Kent, just to help the school, because they took me in when I didn't have nobody. They took me in, and I had situations with my father, and I had to move at a certain time. I'm originally from Brooklyn, and I had to leave home. I had to go down south to play football for a little bit and graduate because of circumstances and stuff. So I just want to bring Kent back because Kent has a lot of loyal fans, and Kent actually supports us whether we do or not. So that's one of my main. And the other goal is to win the MAC championship. No matter who we play, the ranked opponents that we play next year, no matter who we play, no matter what, we're going to finish and try and get that MAC championship because I want to get that for the school. I feel like I am invited to get that just for me and just for, Sean Lewis, him coming in and changing the whole program and just everything.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I need that MAC championship.
Right.
Just so I can, brag about being from Kent. And Sean Lewis is an exceptional coach.
Right.
I've only interacted with him on the sidelines, but I can only imagine what he's like in the locker room.
Yeah, he's a very, when I first came to Kent and, when I talked to him beforehand and stuff, when I first came to Kent, I sensed like me being personally, because I started as a true freshman, me being in the half of what the coaching attitude and how the air was beforehand and after that summer, I really detected both sides of Kent, the good side and the bad side. And so I really appreciate Coach Lewis for changing that because it's not easy to change that. He never had to come to me and and build me up and do all the things right, so because he recruited me. But for the other players and certain other players like the older cats that were there when I was a freshman and the fifth years and the seniors, I detected the certain attitudes and stuff that was carried on. And Coach Lewis, he really changed that. And it wasn't easy. It was some days where he had to constantly say things, constantly. But now, throughout the season and how we won the bowl game, and just taking that and waiting for us to even get picked for the bowl game, everything started changing like a snowball. Everything just started coming together. And he didn't really have to say the things that he used to say at the beginning of the season or last season. He never had to say that. Because we, as a Flash Fast fan, we take it into heed and we understand that what he has brought to us is something changed and a change that is good for being a better football team.
Yeah, because when I was a freshman at Kent Roosevelt, my buddy Evan was a senior, and then he went to Kent State. And the way he described how Kent State was back in the day was just like, whatever, nobody really cared.
Right.
And you can tell, just like I said, seeing you guys just from the sideline while we were recording and stuff, it's a family. can tell it's a family.
Right. Yes.
I think just kind of watching from an outside perspective, I attended camp for 1 year back when I don't know if you know who Demetrius Monday is. He played.
Yeah, I've heard of him. When I first got to camp, I heard of him. He followed me on Instagram and stuff. But when I started my freshman year, he came to one of the games, and I showed out and stuff, and I chilled with him after the game and stuff. I know who that is.
Yeah, that was like one of my best friends my freshman year, because we both were freshmen at the time. Just kind of seeing the difference between the body language of you guys compared to what his team kind of was like was kind of night and day.
Because he told me a couple things about the team back then when he was playing. He told me a couple things, and he told me that it was he was one of the best players on the team, hands down, and the other players on his defense or offense, they wasn't really up to par with the attitude. So he told me personally to as that was going on last year to this year, he told me, to never be like that, to change. Don't be like everybody else, to change the atmosphere. And, a lot of people, when I first came to Kent and I was, doing my thing and stuff, a lot of people was looking at me as if I was excuse my language, a dickhead or, somebody that was being, mad about losing and mad about the work ethic and stuff. And I'll take that on my chest because I'm a competitor. I want to win no matter what. And, I always, even when I came in as a freshman, I had to tell the older dudes, like, this is not how it's supposed to be. You got to win this. You got to do that. You can't just come out here and expect to win when you're not doing the daily things throughout the day and throughout the week.
Yeah, no. Sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, practice how you play, man. You can't play great if you don't practice great.
Yeah, and I totally get what you were saying, Isaiah. Was it almost seemed like back in the day, Kent State, like the players were just there, like we played in high school, so they recruited us. Because I've seen everyone from Cribbs at quarterback to Edelman at quarterback. I saw Charlie Fry when he was at Akron. I've seen all those guys. So, and I saw James Harrison as well playing there, and it almost seemed like those were the guys that were dedicated, but the rest of the team was not.
Right.
So I get what you're saying. Like you said, people calling you a dickhead because you want to win. That's not being a dickhead. That's being a competitor.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that, and I get it, and thank you very much for bringing Kent State back where it
absolutely,
yeah, absolutely. Kind of there's some obvious progression between year one and year two. Was there something specifically with you that kind of clicked that you didn't really think you were missing year one? Because year two, more yards, more touchdowns, leading the MAC in touchdowns, yards per catch. Is there something different that clicked, or was it just more opportunity, knowing the offense a little more?
I think it was a little bit of all of that. Personally, me, I thought it was I really, not to be like harsh, I think it was the change at the quarterback position also. Because, my friend Woody, me and Woody were, he's my friend. When I first came to Kent, we was, having laughs and all of that. And I met Woody before I knew Crumb. I didn't even know who Crumb was. And I was always with Woody at the time when I first got there and stuff, because as I committed to Kent State, he had reached out to me on the phone and was like, we're going to do this and do that, and I know he coming from Auburn transfer and all that. And I know his history from what happened with him, because I heard about him even before I knew that he was going to be my quarterback year one. Mm-hmm. So, I heard about that and stuff. And, year one was kind of frustrating for me because I wanted to come into college and, set these goals, like start as a true freshman. I did that. Score in a game as a freshman, did that. And, the one thing that I didn't get to quite do was kind of be the best receiver as a freshman, because I feel like I was really capable of being it statistically wise. But what happened with year one at the quarterback position was kind of held me back, and I was kind of frustrated. After the first season, I was kind of frustrated. So that I just took that frustration and put it into work with just working harder and training harder, running faster, working on my cuts and my juice, and just catching the ball better and everything. And then, like I said with Crum, Crum has always been doing the right thing. Crum has always, anytime, because I would be with the first group, I would start with the first group of Woody. He'll get in with the second string and just doze off and get crazy on the first team defense every time. And it was happening to the point where everybody was looking at Coach Lewis as like, what are you going to do? Because we see what he's doing in the real game with Woody and stuff. I'm not going to talk about what he did. Y'all know what he did. And then you see, what Crum is doing at practice every day. It was kind of like, Crum had to really press the envelope every day to even be where he was at. So, I think it was just the quarterback change and also getting to know the offense more. Year two, you're in the offense a little more. It was that too. And just, changing it from year one to year two, like it has to be better. It can't get worse. It has to be better. And it progressively got better along the season for the second year.
Makes sense. I totally get it because you guys grow as a team and as a family. You're growing and working better, and you know each other more than you did year one, like you said.
Right.
So I have a question for you, Isaiah. I'm gonna freestyle this a little bit. If there was any NFL quarterback you could compare Crum to, who would it be?
I was talking to my mom about this the other day. I really compare him to Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I really do. I really honestly do, because they're both from Ohio. They both come because where Crum lives, it's not really the wealthiest town, the spectacular town. Neither is Joe Burrow's, where he's from and stuff like that. And just how both of them, how they both came from nothing. With Joe Burrow going, because I remember Joe Burrow when I was in high school. I remember watching him, and I think he was the Ohio Player of the Year or something in senior year. I think that's when I really got to know him, and I seen him commit to because I always was watching that as a kid. I was watching who was going to college, who was going to the top college, this and that, and I seen him commit to Ohio State. I was like, wow, it's like he gonna go to Ohio State and really do things, but then he didn't get to play for 3 years.
Right. He said he was a backup.
Yeah, for 3 years, you know what I'm saying? Third string quarterback, So, and then, how Crum came came from nothing, from me coming there as a freshman. And him, because Crum used to be the placeholder.
Oh, was he at Cal?
Yes. Yeah, my freshman year, he was a placeholder. And he lost his whole eligibility for that year.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's
yeah. So it's like, Crum has really, put his hands in the dirt for real to come up to where he's from. And, with, how just Crum's, silent competitiveness. Yeah, I compare it to Joe Burrow because I would be watching Joe Burrow and I watch Crum, I watch the games on TV, and it kind of acts similar, from them coming from nothing to coming up to the top and performing in the spotlights. So that's really who I compare him to. And I know Crum is excited. I talk to Crum almost every other day, and Crum is just ready to get back to work. He's just ready to get back to work with everybody and just be the leader of the team. And just to do something for Kent that we haven't done, because this season is going to be a lot. The first game, we played Penn State. I played them my freshman year. And I had a good to awesome game for myself, stat wise and stuff. But I'm coming there to win it this upcoming season if it happens.
So you said you guys are playing Penn State the first game?
Yeah.
How many ranked teams are you guys playing right now?
We're playing. I think Alabama and Penn State are going to be ranked. I don't know about Kentucky. Kentucky might be ranked, so possibly 3, but for sure 2.
Because as you know, Nick Saban played football at Kent State.
Yeah, I know about that. I see this little thing in there when I walk in for practice.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, I'm sure he's seen a few pictures of the man around campus.
Yeah, he knows a little more about the training room, the weight room, and all that than I do. So.
I've been in it a couple times, but I haven't been fully around it. But yeah, like you alluded to with Crum, 440. That's where I'm from. He's from kind of Grafton, the Grafton area. I'm from Lorain County. Lorain.
Okay.
So Lorain County is still both of us. So when he was kind of giving me the kind of like lowdown of who Crum was, I start to look into it, and it turns out I actually graduated with Crum's family. I think it's like his cousin.
Oh, okay.
So we made that connection, and then just my man, me and Ethan here spent like the last year and a half kind of conjoined at the hip, learning all this sports broadcasting stuff, the podcasting stuff like that. So I've heard this man every day for the last year and a half just tell me how good you guys were and good you guys were and good you guys were. And so my last question for you, and I'll let Ethan kind of take over after that, is what does the future hold for not only you, but you and the Kent State Golden Flashes?
I think the future holds, I think it holds a lot better, and a lot of stuff that, that even the Kent community and, us as players and the coaches can't even imagine, because, we got that new field in the field house, and that was just something, that the players that's been there for their 5th year, 4th year, they never had that. So, it's just like it's something that we can't imagine. It's just stuff stacking days and getting better and just receiving the stuff that we're deserving to receive. Because I have a lot of players, a lot of close friends that I know, that go to big schools and stuff like that, and they get all types of things, just because of the name, they get all types of, clothes, all types of extra stuff, just the extra things that they deserve as them coming there. And I think for us at Kent State, it's like, we never had that. We haven't had that, but now we're gaining it, and we're not going to take it for granted every day. So, when we get back, I just know every day we're not going to take anything for granted, and, to just get ready for Penn State and get ready for anybody that's in front of us, because we honestly don't have anything we don't. So, we just got to come out there every day and get the work and just to keep it going. And, with the Utah State game, what made me really open my eyes that game was when my teammate, it was a play, and Jordan Love, he threw a ball to his running back, and my teammate KJ, he hit him, and then my other teammate Manny caught the ball and intercepted. That was nothing I had never seen. Yeah, I never seen that since I've been at Penn State. I never seen that type of tenacity after he caught it, and the whole team gathering up, and I never seen that since I've been at Penn State. And that point right there, I was like, oh yeah, we can win this game, and it's going to be something for the next coming years after, because that right there was something I never seen before.
Yeah, for sure. I was watching that, and like I said, I've Kent my whole life. My dad worked at Kent State and all that stuff.
Wait, hold on. I gotta get my charger. My phone is about to die.
Okay. Oh, while he's away, Brendan, you wanna not have dead air?
Yeah, we got Kent State star wide receiver Isaiah Mckoy joining us. We're going to get his charger real quick. Actually, kind of winding down towards the end of it. Pretty good discussion. What do you think, Ethan?
I think it was great. Isaiah was great on the podcast. My lighting is not great, though. Do something with that.
He definitely got a little brighter, my man.
I know.
Hold on. I apologize.
You're all good, my man.
All right. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So, like I said, Kent Lifer watched, like I said, Cribbs, Edelman, Harrison, all those guys. I've never seen a Kent State team come together like that pick on the sideline, like they did during the Frisco Bowl.
Right.
And that would just watching that as a Kent guy, not only because I'm from Kent, I watched your guys' team this year while I was on the sideline, and that was the best Kent State football I've seen. And I truly mean that.
Ever.
Yeah. I think so too. I think that play right there was really just, just something. Even like forget my touchdown, forget all of that. Like that right there, that play, especially on defense, that was a play I was like, wow, like, and I felt everybody just come together, cheering on my teammate when he caught that pick, and I never felt that at Kent until that point. The whole season, even when we came back. From Buffalo, we was down. We came all the way back. I didn't get to play that game, unfortunately, because of the other circumstance. That even coming back from that, that was nothing compared to that, because that was so. They said Utah State was this and that, and we wasn't hearing none of that. We wasn't, because we was ready to win. Because even like the reality of it is, it was a flip coin with us even getting into the bowl game.
Yeah.
So
and. Weren't you guys 300 to 1 to win that game?
Yes, we was all the odds. We didn't have nothing with us. Nothing.
Trust me. So, my family owns the Kent Stage, downtown Kent, and we watched that whole game. I made sure everybody was there, and I did a pregame. I analyzed the pregame on a blog, and I did the postgame. I did all that, made sure my whole family was there just to watch the Frisco Bowl, because I knew you guys were going to win. And I was sitting there on the sidelines. Like I said, I've said that a billion times now, but I was on the sidelines with you guys. I got some nice footage of you catching a few touchdowns. If you want me to send it over to you after this.
Oh yeah, of course. I'll take that.
But yeah, I think that was the exclamation point. When the whole team came together for the season, that was
like. Okay, well, my man kind of froze. I think what he was going to say is that kind of just like set you guys up for us to be really excited about what your future is going to hold.
Yeah, it is. We even after when we won and stuff like that, and the other thing about it was the reaction to when I scored, they scored. We scored, they scored. And throughout the season, that was kind of hard for us to bounce back, when somebody does it. Because it really felt like, hold on. At Kent, my freshman year, a little bit into half of the year, my second year, it just felt like any time when the other team scored, it felt like a damn. Like, we're about to lose. You know what I'm saying? But that game, it really didn't feel like that game. It didn't feel like that from Buffalo to Toledo to all of those games. It did not feel like it was a significant change in everyone's belief. And the Utah State game was really the belief that we needed it from everybody on the sideline. From the coaches to the water girls, the water boys, to the equipment managers. It was just a certain belief, and even the fans, because every time when they scored and we scored back, it was like a reassurance. Okay, we're here. We don't have to back down. We don't have to think that we're not going to score, or we're not going to put up yards or drives, or put up defensive 3 and outs and all of that. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful for them to score, for the Utah State to score, and then us score. And then they scored and we scored, and just to keep it going. And then even the last touchdown with Crum, how Crum had the read option and took it himself. Like, that's when even before that, Crum, he ran somebody over, and I was blocking, and I blocked my man to the sideline, and I turned around, seen him run over. I was like, wow. I was like, I always knew Crum was competitive, but Crum really wants this, and it was something that, I always wanted it. Ever since my freshman year, I always wanted it. And it was just so relieving to have, a significant person with the ball in their hands, exception of linemen and stuff that they don't have the ball in their hand. But with somebody who has the ball in their hands to actually care and proceed for the team to be better, that's how Crum really gained my respect even more than he did before, getting us to that point.
Yeah, so that read option was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
But I've been talking to my man Brendan over here all year. I think Dustin Crum has to be top 5 quarterback in the draft next year.
He is crazy because he's behind Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields in QBRs and touchdowns to interception ratios, I think. So it's it's real. It's real. It is.
He only threw 2 picks last year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
one of them was a tip ball, and then one of them was just he just missed coverage.
Yeah, and I also think, once again, not trying to gas you up because you're on the podcast, I think you're one of the top wide receivers in the draft as well.
Yeah, for next year, the things about that, sometimes I kind of have not confidence issues, but I never have the confidence to be to tell myself, I'm good enough, this and that. I never really think of myself like that. And I think that I have to really start thinking about that myself, because I've always been told from a young kid I have to, be humble and to, not to be boastful and to do all that. But, for me changing, me having a huge impact on changing Penn State, I think I have to start, gaining more confidence with, just a lot of more things on and off the field. Because I'm never really the person to boast about myself, to be oh, I'm this, I'm that. Just to go out there and just to do what I do, never to be, on Front Street in the front of the lights. And I think that's what I have to work on too, is to, embrace my moment every time.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what people like me and Brendan are for, sports broadcasters, to gas you up. So you don't have to say yourself.
That's what we're sitting here speculating on, and without a doubt, we've been talking a lot about Kent State players and where they could end up in the draft. And I pretty much compared you to Corey Davis.
Where'd he go? He went to some school in Michigan, a Mac school.
He went to Western Michigan, but he ended up in the middle of the first round. And I don't want to. I don't know if there's any buzz around that, but is there any buzz around where you're looking at maybe next year for the draft?
My player personnel, Coach Shrum, he told me before, as the pandemic happened and stuff, he told me it was a lot of teams looking at me my home team, the Giants, Patriots, Philadelphia, they all came to talk to me throughout the season. This last upcoming season, so but then it's the other thing, I'm thinking about staying for my senior year too. Also, I'm thinking about because I want to help Ken out to the maximum of my time here, and then even after when I go to the draft and get millions and stuff, I'm gonna actually give back and make Kent a better place, not just for me and just credibility to me, but other future recruits that they're gonna have.
As somebody who lives in Kent, I would appreciate that. Maybe toss a little over to the side for the Kent stage.
Yeah. Of course. I've been thinking about it a lot because next year gonna be I had a great season this year, but next year is really gonna be a movie, and it's gonna be a hard decision for me to decide if I want to stay or I want to leave. But I've been thinking about it a long time, and I am kind of leaning into staying, just to help Kent and to help Kent State, and just because I came when I was here, it was nothing, and to make it into something, and to possibly get us to a bigger stadium, bigger fan base, a bigger, everything that we can't even think of. That's all I'm here for, to make it even a better place.
And I think you sticking around with Sean Lewis and Dustin Crum will definitely help Kent State. I think you guys are on to bigger and better things. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Kent State, and watching you guys this year was exciting. I'll be on the sidelines next year as well, so keep an eye out for me.
I will.
Any more questions, my man?
You know what? I wanted to bring up. Sorry, one last thing. I wanted to bring up. You said the Patriots were looking at you.
Yeah.
Brendan knows I made a jersey swap with Dustin Crone, him going to the Patriots. So maybe you guys can be teammates over there.
If we look, man, we can get it popping. We can get it going.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hey.
Go ahead and go there. Add to that receiving core.
Yeah.
Don't add.
I see what you pointed at.
Add to that receiving core. All right, but obviously we know you're not from Ohio originally, so I won't do this to you. Favorite athlete of all time? Our topic of the week is favorite Cleveland athlete of all time. What is your favorite athlete of all time, considering you're not exactly from Cleveland?
My favorite athlete, I would have to say, it's Michael Jordan, but I'm kind of leaning on, more Michael Jordan / LeBron James. Just the where he come from. He came from Akron. Just the way he did, for the Akron Zips. Even though we don't mess with them, but just to know, what he did for that town and what he did for them. Because I knew that LeBron was from Akron, but when I first came to Kent and I was going around Ohio or was around me when I rode through Akron, I really seen that. His impact on where he came from and how, the schools that he has down there, for the low income, part of where he came from. I seen it and I was like, wow, all this hoopla about LeBron, how they say this and that, but he really is somebody that's inspirational, not to just his town and his state, but to everybody around the world, to say that you can come from anywhere to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing I respect about LeBron is he came from, trust me, I know Akron. I was born in Akron, so I know Akron. And I know where he came from. And that's just so inspirational.
It is.
Came from the projects and worked his way up to probably the most influential athlete there is right now.
Yeah. His legacy will live on forever after.
Oh, yeah. I think he might surpass Jordan.
He might. I wasn't living enough time, but to the certain extent of his legacy and his adversity, where he came from, how he portrays it on the court every night. How a lot of people be talking about him. A lot of people, the same stuff that they gave Jordan, but. They kind of neck and neck right now to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
the only thing that people gonna hold against LeBron is the rings. But a lot of times everybody not gonna get 6 rings. But he got like 6 years left. So we gonna see.
Yeah, I mean, if KD never joined the Warriors, think about what the Cavs could have done.
Yeah.
So I actually have a funny story about LeBron. It was a game that Charlie Fry was playing against Josh Cribbs. So Akron versus Kent. LeBron showed up. He was sitting in the stands, and he had all of his entourage sit around him. And we were young guys back then. We were all trying to get autographs from him. Like his boys were like, "Nope. You're not touching LeBron. LeBron's not signing anything." So that was kind of my first experience with LeBron. But after that, after the decision and everything, I kind of learned to love LeBron. Came back, did what he
got a lot. He came from the hood, man. So they trying to protect him because he's really the one that made. And it's crazy. I didn't even know he gave them a little bit of money for their stadium. I didn't know that.
For InfoCision?
Huh?
InfoCision Stadium?
Yeah. He gave a little money for that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had a buddy who lived like right across the highway from Precision, and it was kind of cool. Like, 'cause he lived up on the upper deck of the apartment building. It's kind of cool. Like in the morning, looking down, seeing the or not in the morning, at night, like the sun setting, looking down on the stadium.
Yeah, he don't got to pay for no ticket.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm not sure he has to pay for tickets anywhere. Just be like, man, I'm LeBron. I'm coming over.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I hate to say it, but I'm happy that Akron didn't win a single game this year.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Oh, like I said, I've grown up in Kent, so I've learned to hate Akron, even though I was born in Akron General. So
yeah.
So let me ask you one more question there, Isaiah, and then we'll let you go. Let you hop back on with the Broncos. Do you see the Golden Flashes beating out Miami in the MAC championship?
Miami of Ohio?
Yeah. Wasn't it Miami of Ohio and Western Michigan?
Yeah.
Do you see Kent State beating out either of those two?
Yeah, I mean, I played Miami of Ohio twice. We lost to them twice. But I think next year, I think there probably will be, our competition in the conference. And, I think we can, exceptional of, even the game that we played them last year, exceptional of the refs, because I honestly personally felt like, I was getting held and just, blowing by them and them holding on to my legs and my back plate and all of that. Exceptional to them certain things, but exceptional to that, I really think so. I think our defense will be a lot better holding them with their little run and their, big play action pass. Because the quarterback that they got, he is kind of all right. He is good. That freshman, I think he's a freshman. He was a freshman last year.
Oh, okay. Or was that Athens?
Nah, I think he was a freshman. That Miami Ohio quarterback. He was a freshman.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't really know his name, but
hey, man, I watched that Miami of Ohio game. I could definitely see holding. But
yeah, man, it was. I don't know. And I know you can see how frustrated I was too. It was kind of getting. I don't know, man, but
hey, that's a compliment, though.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, my man. Thank you for giving us your time. This should release Wednesday. I say should, but I don't see why it wouldn't. We'll be tagging you in it. Just appreciate having you on. So you're the first ever non-co-host guest that's ever been on this show, so we 100% appreciate it.
Thank you. So let me know. Invite me again. I'll be glad to talk.
For sure, man. Hey,
we'd like to get all of the Golden Flashes on here. So if you'd like to pass the word, we'll get you back on. We'll get all of you guys on.
Okay, I'll let them know. Sure.
If you, I can talk to Spice. Maybe if you want to pass the word over to Dustin, we can have Dustin on here.
Okay, I'll holler at Dustin. I'll call him actually after this and see if he wants to get on here.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, thank you very much again for hopping on here. Like I said, you were a great guest. Thank you very much. Go Flashes.
Yeah,
let's get that MAC championship next year.
Yeah, we will definitely.
Have a good night, or have a good day, I guess.
Yeah, you too. Y'all stay safe.
Stay safe,
man.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing what you do next year with the Flashes, man.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Alrighty, I want to thank Isaiah Mckoy for coming on the podcast, our first official guest on Any Given Podcast. If you have not checked out Isaiah McKoy, I highly recommend to look up his highlights. Brendan, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen him.
I'm sitting here telling you, if they listen to that interview, a very humble guy, and I wasn't just blowing smoke up his ass, guys. I wasn't sitting there. Look, I'm not talking to him right now. He's not listening to us right now. We don't. It's not even the same day. We got different shirts. I'm sitting here telling you Isaiah McKoy is the real deal.
Yeah, definitely check him out. He definitely has pro potential. Great guy. He was very excited to come on the podcast, which makes definitely me and Brendan very happy. We did hashtag make a movie with the prayer emojis.
Let's keep the partnership going too. Isaiah, as I know you'll listen because you said you would. Keep the partnership going. If there's anything you want to announce, anything you want to talk about with us, just bring it to us and we'll put you on. You always got a live mic over here at Any Given Podcast.
And two, I could even after this whole pandemic is over, we could meet somewhere in Kent and do a live broadcast and meet up with Brendan over Skype.
Meet up with me over Skype. Once we can get together, we going together.
All right. Hey, I'm not. Hey, I was just.
What's the 40-minute drive to me if we're gonna make some stuff happen? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I totally feel it. I'm excited. I'm excited for Isaiah to come back too, just to talk about his plans on the future a little more in depth. So
yeah,
that's
and
gonna be
we're headed into a big season for Isaiah. So anything that comes from him in the future is just gonna be big news.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anything. So very excited to have him on here. Hopefully, this brings some legitimacy to what we were doing. Very excited. D1 college athlete is something like just to be able to say that we did. I thought was great.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But to the listeners, thank you for listening to this week's episode. My man Ethan looks a little angry there for a second, but he's back now.
No, it froze for a second, so I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah, you know that angry face you always have? That's on recording.
Yeah,
right? That's on recording now because it froze like that.
You mean my normal face when I'm like concentrating or doing anything?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks I'm always mad, and so I'm like, I've had that since I was a little kid. They're like, "Why are you so mad?" It's like I'm not mad. That's just my face. Can't fix it. I have resting bitch face, male version. So
I'll never forget when Trav was like, "Why you look so mad doing this?" And you were like, "I don't."
Yeah, that's just my face when I'm talking.
You were like, "That's just Ethan right there."
Yeah, just how it is. Maybe I should wear like one of those hats that have the changing letters on it. You know what I'm talking about? You can use it with your phone.
Yeah.
Maybe I should put like not angry or angry on it.
I'm not
so
angry.
People would know. Yeah. Not angry right now or angry.
You could put all the emotions on there. You could put angry, sad, the H one that I won't say.
That was in confidence, my man.
Hey, we all are. It has. I am right now too. So.
Dude, I'm losing it. Like
everybody is. It's quarantine. We're all stuck.
I told you I was watching that episode of Community, and all I could focus on was that chick in the background.
I get it. But, anyways, great episode. I think. Thank you all for listening. Go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter at Podcast Given, on Instagram at Any Given Podcast, and on Facebook.com/Any Given Podcast. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at BWardCLE, and you can follow my man Ethan at
ETH Simpson CGOD.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week. See you next week.
Have a good one.